everybody. Welcome to another edition of NCW, also known as New Comic Wednesday. If you haven't been with us before, we chat for a few minutes every Wednesday about Zenescope's newest releases. If you don't know who I am your NCW host, Amber, and my hearts are purple today. I don't know if you guys know this quick fun fact. I tell everybody my favorite color is red, but it's secretly probably purple. I don't know. Or maroon, because it's a mix of purple and red. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, if you haven't been with us before, we chat for a few minutes every Wednesday about Zenescope's newest releases at 3 p.m. And where you can find Zenescope's newest releases, you can head to our web store, Zenescope.com, and there's a lovely little tab that says New Releases. You'll press that, and it will show you everything in order of when it has been released most recently. On top of that, you can also find all of our new releases at your local comic shop. And if your local comic shop doesn't carry us, make sure that you ask them why. Say, hey, could you start carrying Zenescope? Maybe you want to pick up subscriptions through them. That's really, really awesome. You can always send them our way and we can talk to them. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're only as good as the comic shops that put our stuff in, and our stuff is, and vice versa. We're only as good as the comic shops that help us out and carry our stuff. We love to support each other. I'm so excited to see all of my friends out on the stream today. Woohoo! Welcome, everybody. Steven's favorite color is transparent. Interesting. I didn't really ever think that transparent was a color, but I guess maybe it is. On top of this, if you guys want to make sure that you watch every Wednesday, you're going to want to click this wonderful subscription notification that's about to pop up. Our girl Belle that Casey designed. Make sure that you push the notification bell, or just press subscribe at any point. You're also going to want to share this with your friends so more people can see it. Make sure that you like it, you comment on it. The more interaction we get, the more people can find out about Zenescope's newest releases. Today, we'll be talking about two new releases. And first up, or technically Unbound isn't a new release because it's a graphic novel. But so our first up release, which is technically our only new release, as I was just saying, is Return of the League of Monsters Part 2. Feels like it's been like 2 months since we talked about Part 1. I think it has been. I think we talked about Part 1 in November. And I have our incredible writer, Pat Shand, who works on a lot of Zenescope stuff. And I don't know if you guys know this, he worked on Part 1. Shocker. He'll be joining me in just a few minutes. As always, Casey, can you please pop up the covers? Here is cover A. What up? We get to see some of the monsters that Van Helsing will be battling. Here is cover B. Again, different monsters, A, and then V. I like how Casey's just pressing different buttons back there. I'm about it. Here's cover B now. Back to cover B. Oh, this is, okay, so we did it wrong in order. I got it. Okay, bring me cover C. There we go. Jay Anacleto, like immediately, I don't even have to read the artist to be like Jay Anacleto. I could tell. I love this cover, actually. I like all the covers, but what I really, really love about this cover is in the background, like the skull, like imprint. It just looks like a video game cover to me, which I think is really, really cool how it has like a teaser of what's in the back. But gonna read the synopsis and then I will bring Pac on. As always, tell me what your favorite cover is in the comments. Liesl Van Helsing has lost everything, and now she must go through hell to get it back. Literally. After the shocking events of Van Helsing's last encounter with the League of Monsters, the famed vampire hunter finds herself in a horrific situation. She must join forces with her most vicious enemies in order to save someone important to her. In this climactic issue, Van Helsing descends into the Greek underworld and faces off with an entity claiming to be her long-lost love, Hades, god of the underworld. I'm sure you guys all know who Hades is, so cool. Without further ado, I will bring on our boy, writer Pat Shand.
Why, hello.
What up, Pat?
What's going on?
Long time no see. It's not like you were on NCW last week.
It's true. I'm happy to be here again.
He's happy to be here again. Do you want to just shout out what we talked about last week? Like, what was the book we were talking about?
Oh, yeah. We're talking about Grimm Spotlight Hellchild, which is interesting because Hellchild has a somewhat strong connection to Van Helsing. Van Helsing is part of the ritual that brought her into life in modern times. So I do see those as a sister series. Even though they have gone their separate directions, it's fun to be doing Hellchild and also at the same time come back to Helsing.
What up? So this is Return of the League of Monsters Part 2. Can you get us up to speed about Part 1 and that gutted ending that you did to us, Pat?
Oh yeah. There's a bit of a tragedy at the end. Helsing has this problem where she has a very dangerous life, and she recognizes this, and she kind of can't help herself from making these connections, and her job ends up bringing her into conflict with these enemies who could exploit that aspect of her life, the fact that she too has a personal life. And she suffered a loss at the end of number 1, and now in number 2, she teams up with a foe of hers who has suffered a similar loss. That now the two of them will have to kind of band together to see what they can do about that.
So Van Helsing has to team up with someone she doesn't trust, as you were mentioning. Why is she making these decisions? And at any point, do you feel like they're rash decisions?
Oh yeah, I mean she she is a rash person, but at the same time she's a thinking person too, where she'll go into an insane situation knowing it's insane, but she'll approach it in the most scientific way that she possibly can. And she is someone who has a vast degree of experience. So specifically in this instance, she's descending into the Greek underworld. And she, not many can say this, but she's been there before, so she goes in with a base of knowledge about, where she's going, and she's able to see how things have changed, and sort of, she shapes her theories about what's going on based on the differences in the underworld now versus back when she first went there, which is actually where she first met Hades.
Okay, so to get us back to the opening, these feel like your openings always feel like an episode of Buffy to me. Like I know that you're a Buffy fan. I'm a diehard Buffy fan, but literally so the opening is like telling the backstory of what's happening and also sharing a personal connection. It literally feels like the Whistler in Becoming Part 1 when he starts telling the story of like Angel and the pain that Angel knows. Like,
yeah.
Do you ever feel that when you're writing?
That's a good bit. Yeah, I feel I do try to there are certain ways to approach narration, and I think that what you would see in Buffy, and who does this too is Scott Snyder, who I'm a big fan of. The narration, in my opinion, as a writer, should play in two ways, where it should play straightforward, where you can take it as the story you're telling, but it also should tap into themes where even though the character doesn't know that they're building a narrative theme, they're just talking to the reader. I think it matters where certain words fall and the dichotomy of what is being said and versus what you see in the picture. And I always try to think deeply about what the first thing you read when you open up the comic is. I don't want it to be like a throwaway line of dialogue unless that's going to serve a purpose and be interrupted in some way. If it's narration, I want it to speak to the theme in a subtle way where if you read it again, you'll come back and you'll sort of have that feeling where you see how that line would hit different than the second read.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love Buffy, and I love when they did that on episodes of Buffy when we got to get narration of characters because you knew that you were about to get a very emotional story.
Yeah. It's I think that last week you were talking to Joe about how he sets character with emotion, and that's important to me too. That's a thing that we I used to be a story editor as well, and I would be in those writers' rooms, and then that was always a conversation about how there's on level one. Level one is always cool story. How do you tell a cool story with a cool character? And then you always have to think about too how it kind of can go beyond that, and how you can have a character that can have a human moment, because it's so easy to have just Van Helsing, she does crazy things that her life is not a life that people are going to relate to as the things that she does, actions that she commits, places that she goes, the underworld. People aren't going to go there, But if we can elicit human emotion from her in a way that accentuates both the fun of the story and also taps into something human about the readers that they can relate to, that's going to make them care more deeply about Helsing and want to keep following her journey.
Gotcha. So speaking of her journey, there is I mentioned before that she makes a rash decision by teaming up with somebody, and then she teams up with somebody else. And I'm gonna spoil who the person she teams up with only because I think it's funny. So the Beast of Xmore, if you guys haven't read the Beast of Xmore, it did come out early last year. It was written by Brian Hawkins, and he was on the show, so you can get a little bit more backstory on that. However, in the story, it should be noted that there's a moment when she's super upset with Dracula's daughter, spoiler again, that she might have the opportunity to help her in some sort of way because she's taken away the love of her life, or she feels she has at the end of part 1. Okay. However, the Beast of Xmore, as we know, she's like, come help me. You kind of owe me, even though I killed your sister.
Yeah, it's interesting. She I set out to make her have different relationships with these characters because even though they're all her foes, right? They are the League of Monsters. There's different levels to what kind of a monster they are. There's someone like the Beast of Xmore. I think he makes pretty clearly from their first interaction in this issue that that's not going to be, that bridge is burned, right?
Yeah.
But with a character like the Bride of Frankenstein or the Invisible Woman, there is more of a humanity to them. Even though they've done terrible things and they've become monsters, especially Bride of Frankenstein, there is something that Helsing looks to as, a personal failure to her. I first wrote Bride of Frankenstein in Van Helsing versus Frankenstein years ago, and that was one of the more outright tragic arcs of Van Helsing, where the creation of Frankenstein and the descent of madness that the character Taylor, the Bride of Frankenstein, goes through. That was Helsing would look back at that as not I hate Taylor, I hate the Bride of Frankenstein. She looks at it as this is a monster that was created as a result of my failings personally. So she sees that differently than she would see the Beast of Xmore.
Yeah, Van Helsing has very similar. Again, I hate to relate everything to Buffy, but because Buffy was so much of my childhood, and I love Buffy, it feels a lot like in Buffy how a lot of times the characters that might come off bad at some points or good at some points eventually start switching sides, and Buffy like befriend, like for example, Spike starts bad, goes good, kind of maybe goes back to bad, then goes back to being good.
Yeah, I like that kind of thing too. I see it. I mean, in all the media that I love, for example, Marvel movies. Every villain that I've loved has had a bit where you can see their point.
Yes, I love that too.
Yeah, and a show that I talked to Ralph about a lot actually is Sopranos, where the characters all do, things that society would see as morally awful. And then you see their lives, you see the context of how they've been raised, and you get to see a picture that's more than just the point of view of the villain, and you get to see person. And that's what I like about fiction in general. And comics, it's easy to tell a story where it's black and white, where it's a villain who wants their main goal is, destruction. It is pure evil, and that can be cool. That can be very cool. I've done that. But when you have a diverse cast of villains where they all have different goals, I mean, Dracula's daughter, she has an emotional goal. She wants to bring her father back. Even though she is pure evil, she has a desire that a person can relate to. Even though when he's back, her goal will become kill, maim, be evil. She still has that personal connection.
That's a great point.
Yeah, so these characters, we find ways to connect Helsing to them in a way that comments on uh, Helsing herself, and also a thing that the reader might be experiencing in their life.
Yeah, no, I think you made a lot of really interesting points. The first one is that all of the bad guys / good guys can go back and forth, which makes them just interesting characters because you never
Yeah.
know how they're going to react to something. You don't know if they're on Team Liesel at that time or they're on, team do whatever they want, whatever their priority is.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a good villain. I think part 2 of that is you're right. The fact that, people and Liesel's doing it too. So they're all doing it. And she's a part of like the League of Monsters without being the part of League of Monsters, where people are just making desperate decisions because they're trying to get the results that they want.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And it's interesting to see too. What I thought probably most about in this issue, even though it's such a quick scene, there's this issue even more than the first one. The first one was like kind of like a chase scene where they're being attacked and they don't know what's happening. This one was like a movie that is taking place within 32 pages. So I had to be very careful about what scenes get how many pages.
It did. It felt like a TV episode, or like it felt like it was like a finale of something,
Yes.
or like a crucial turning point, maybe a mid-season finale.
Right. That was very purposeful, and it was probably the most work that I did on the issue that had to come down to really choosing certain moments, was figuring out which moments are quick and which moments we really live in. And even though the ending moment is quick, when the survivors emerge from the underworld, it was very I put a lot of thought into who reacts in what way, like who leaves this with a different opinion of Liesel Van Helsing and their vendetta against her, and who is not impacted by their team up.
And speaking of the ending, you gutted me with part 1's ending, and then you gutted me with part 2's ending, Pat. What's up with that, man?
I think that, when without getting into spoilers, once you give the audience a relief, you also have to kind of temper that relief.
Yeah.
In this issue, we do get an ending that's happier in some ways than the previous issue. The previous issue left with devastation. This leaves with an emotional choice, and to me, it's always about leaving the character in the most interesting place possible. And because the truth is, now I'm writing the next issue. I actually finished that last week, the next issue of Van Helsing. But at the time, though, I didn't know that I would be the one writing the next issue of Van Helsing. Yeah, because when I first started on Van Helsing, the intent was to have a run, to do the Van Helsing Lightness in the Dark, to do Van Helsing versus Dracula, and then together, Zenescope and I, we made plans for Van Helsing versus Frankenstein and Van Helsing versus the Mummy of Amun-Ra. And that was the end of my run. With this one, it started out more where I came on and I was doing issues here and there, like I did Invisible Woman. And then before I started this arc is when Brian came on and did the Beast of Xmore, so he had that issue between there. So for all I knew, someone else could have come in and picked up from where I left off. And my goal is to always, in a shared universe, number one, tell a good story. And number two, since, these aren't anyone's characters but Zenescope, these aren't my characters, I could leave and that'll be the end of my time with the character for all I know. So it's always important, I feel, to leave the character in a place that is impactful, that is interesting to go back to, that feels, even if it feels like a finale, that you also think, oh, what's next though,
Yeah, no. Not to quote Buffy, bye Gabriel. I just wanted to say thank you for saying bless you when I quietly sneeze. You did not see it. That I very quietly do my Amber sneezes that are very small. So thank you for saying bless you, and same to you, Chuck. Anyway, not to again kill this over the head about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but felt much like, again, you said where you want to give some relief to the character. The ending of Becoming Part 2, Season 2 of Buffy, where, spoiler, if you guys haven't seen Buffy, oh well, Angel dies, but we all know that Angel lives because he gets his own spinoff show, whatever. Then there's like this relief because all season Buffy's trying to take down Angel because he's lost his soul. And then when she does it, or like she doesn't kill him, I don't want to say he dies, but when she succeeds in the task she was at hand, where she defeats him at that time, there's like relief, like, okay, but then the bigger picture comes like, oh, I left my mom and she said I could never come home. Now I have to go run away. Like I have this other problem that I have to face. But there's a relief for a second. Pat, you're a genius. That's all I got to say, man.
I mean, thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you. Yeah, it's I think a lot about that, about the place of exit, because I too remember, there are endings that you can do in so many different ways to keep people interested. I still remember there's a season of Orange is the New Black that ends with someone pointing a gun at someone, and for a whole summer I was like, oh, is she gonna pull the trigger? And I would think about it, but at the same time, if the show ended there, it wouldn't be satisfying because there's that cliffhanger. I do like the idea that really ties into what Zenescope is doing now with the one-shots, where you have to do both. You have to give a satisfying ending to what you're doing while also leaving the character in a place where you can't wait to see what happens next. So it's really this balancing act where you have to do both. And, it comes down
That
to
is the perfect endpoint, actually, because the next story we're going to talk about is the graphic novel of Unbound, and I'm going to bring Ralph on, and that is exactly what happens in Unbound.
Hey, that's the way that it should be, satisfy and intrigue.
Well, thank you always, Pat, for joining us, and I know that you'll be joining us very, very soon for the next issue of Van Helsing.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, as always. Let's talk more Buffy later.
Yeah, let's do it.
Again, that was yes, Pat is really, really great. I'm glad when I got to bring him on because he always says such insightful things, and he's right. I felt like this was an episode of Buffy. I love Buffy, in case you guys don't know. And if you're just a fan of like seeing cool monsters but also relating to very emotional stories, like that's how this feels like. Okay, I'm very excited to talk about this next story, Unbound, the graphic novel. I had not read it until this morning, and I was completely blown away. Totally blown away. Ralph killed it. He did an excellent, excellent job. So our second release is the Unbound graphic novel that has issues 1 through 5. It is $19.99 in our web store. And speaking of graphic novels, we are actually launching our graphic novel subscription. It will have launched about an hour ago. So if you want all the graphic novels that'll be coming out this year, subscribe. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you why you should. When you have a graphic novel, you have a full and complete storyline, which means that you get a full and complete story. The problem, though, as we're about to discuss on Unbound, is there are always cliffhangers to those stories. And then you're like, yo, what's next? Will I ever know? And so I'm going to read the synopsis and I'm going to bring Ralph on. Casey can pop up the cover as I'm doing it. There'll only be one because we only ever pick one cover of the graphic novel, and how that usually works is one of our most popular covers. Sorry. Okay. I have a lot of questions, so I feel really bad for Ralph. In Ether, the criminal beings who rule the underbelly of this unique world are kept in check by bounty hunters and trackers who look to take them out. But when a killer who knows no bounds rises up, will there be anyone skilled and smart enough to stop him? Also, I'm pretty sure it says enough twice on there, so I don't know if we read the synopsis before we put it to publish, but that's okay. Okay, cool. Bring it on, Ralph. Right now. Welcome to the stream.
But that's Franchini. I saw Franchini. I don't
know. So I literally have like 20 questions. I'm not gonna kill you with this. You know, when I don't read your stories or I don't have so much insight, it's the problem.
You like Courier. Don't like Unbound.
I loved Unbound. So much so that okay, I'll dive right in. I'll dive right into Unbound. So our main character befriends a girl in the opening part of the story.
He does. He does.
What makes him trust her right away?
He's just, the whole point is his ego. He's got his big ego. No one can really get to him. And then he offers.
So it doesn't matter if he befriends somebody.
He doesn't think a low level player will be able to like do anything to him. He doesn't even think of it. And then like he's so caught up in the moment of killing Kane that it doesn't dawn on him she could just stab him in the back, literally. And she pays him, so he's like, oh, she's gonna pay me to. And it's like, again, it's more ego driven. So he's more like, oh, she really just wants to watch me hunt. Plus, she's cute, so he's sitting there going, oh, look at this cute girl who wants to like hang with me. Like, look, and it's supposed to be set up to pull the rug out from under in that first chapter, so we won't get.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about the ether, which is where they are. What is the ether?
Can I say as a spoiler?
Yeah, well, that's why. I mean, it's this.
I mean, it's
when was number one announced? Like 2 years ago now. So if you haven't read it by now, dude.
The thing is, like, it's spoiled after the first chapter of the graphic novel anyway. But like, you learn after the first chapter that you're in a gaming world, right? You're in an alternate metaverse, as we're calling it now. Everything's becoming metaverse. Not dissimilar to what you see in Ready Player One or The Matrix. So obviously there's parallels to that. But the first chapter, we don't really allude to that. You're not really sure you're in this game. So he's just this player who's been leveled up super high level, and he's just got a celebrity. He's a celebrity in this world, but in the real world, he's just a kid.
So, not to spoil this, but obviously spoiled in what we're talking about right now. The main character dies in Ether, and that's how we find out that there is this other world that's taking place in Philadelphia at the time. So, because we are in this other world, whatever, and he has this crazy reputation in the Ether that he's like this untouchable bounty hunter, which is why he has this ego.
Right.
Will we ever get a prequel of him?
Yeah, no. Not gonna get a prequel of him.
I asked this to Ralph earlier, and he's like, "Would anyone care besides?"
Yeah, I'm like, you watch him play the game. So the concept, there's gonna be hopefully a sequel. We'll get to it.
Wait, we're jumping ahead here. I gotta go through each issue individually. That makes
no prequel, probably not.
No prequel. What if there was a petition for the prequel?
Sorry, Cerrito. I'm sure you're reading it. Jeff hasn't read a graphic novel in years. I'm just kidding. He probably has.
I don't think that's true.
That's not true. He's a big fan. Okay.
I don't know. Jeff's kind of in trouble though right now because yesterday Joe walked up to me. He's like, "You have a reputation." I was like, "I do," and he's like, "Yeah, you do." He's like, "You have a reputation of being a bully," and I was like, "Did Jeff Cerrito call you?"
He's got everybody. Got everybody calling you a bully.
I know it's not true. The fans will back me up.
So what? So
back on our so no prequel or maybe prequel.
No, probably not.
Maybe prequel. Maybe prequel.
99% chance no.
Love it. Okay, so how is this? This is very Ready Player One. How is this different than Ready Player One? And what was the inspirations behind this story? Like, why did you decide to do the story? Because of Ready Player One?
I loved Ready Player One. I read the book years back, and
I love the book.
Of course, I was just a fan of The Matrix, and I knew originally this was a story about took place in the real world, and it was a story about an artificial intelligence serial killer loose in our world, and that was the original treatment I wrote. And then it just dawned on me to make it. I needed another hook for it, and it dawned on me to put this in a virtual world, and then it just opened up a lot of different things areas to explore.
So how is it different? The fact that it's not happening in apocalypse world right now.
The fact that it's what?
not having an apocalypse world, whereas like Ready Player One. Why are you laughing at me?
Because you're nothing. Not laughing at you.
Was I reiterating what you said?
No, but what it's different because it's I mean it's not obviously Ready Player One's not about a serial killer in any way. There's a killer on the loose in the ether in this world. So that's one thing. I kind of like that it blends genres a little bit. It's a little bit of a horror story with this like mysterious X character. You don't know what he wants or who he is. And then blending this sort of idea of what like the Matrix would be, right? But it's not the same as the Matrix because the Matrix is a whole other mythology. I don't mind the noise in the background. Just clearing throats and stuff. So there's similarities, but there's also differences. I like to blend genres. I tried to blend genre. I like it was inspired a little bit by Seven, the movie Seven, which we also published the graphic novel.
Thank you for that shout out. And that makes it very also Ready Player-esque. One is the fact that there's a lot of personal connections in that story. Like he writes about John Hughes because the writer loves John Hughes, and he writes not about the Iron Giant, but they put it in the movie. But will we ever get a sequel to the 1999 Iron Giant? I don't know. We deserve one. That's a whole other conversation for a different day. However, you guys think there should be a sequel to the Iron Giant? Just write that in the comments really quick. Okay, Ralph's never seen the Iron Giant. Also, fun fact, I hope Casey's seen the Iron Giant. She's nodding her head. She has. Okay. If you haven't seen the Iron Giant, please watch the Iron Giant. Moving forward, there are a few like shout outs that take place in this story. So crazy. You talk about how the main character goes to temple. Did you or did you not base that on me because I went to temple?
Yes, it was based on you. Not because I went to temple, because you went to temple. And
exactly.
I didn't know you yet. But I knew I would meet Amber and that she would have gone to temple.
And then, as noted before this, there is an exact moment in the comment where the opening line says, "To be fair." And everybody knows that's my line.
That is your line. You say it at least 12 times a day. Again, it was written before I knew you, so maybe this is like
that was your time
premonition.
To be fair.
To be fair, I wrote it before I met you. To be fair.
So there's a lot of personal connections actually in this story. So you shout out Temple, related to me. Mm-hmm. To be fair, also related to me. Mm-hmm. There's a girl that looks a lot like Casey, probably related to Casey. Okay. As well as the Ninja Turtles are shouted out, which we know is a connection to Dave because he
I did know Dave when I wrote this.
And then Jay also dies. Why is there so many personal connections?
Jason does die. He's not named. If you guys read it, he's in chapter 1. He works in the porn shop. He gets his arms cut off. Not this spoiler alert. But this is all chapter 1. Don't worry about it. Jason's in it. What else? Yeah. I don't know. A lot of Philly references. I had to be geographic with everything. Like the one girl lives in Jersey.
I know. Yeah, you made it because she went to Rutgers.
The Rutgers, so it's geographically pretty correct.
I'm seeing in the comments about like, does everybody go to temple? The only 2 people that went to temple are on the screen.
That's true.
Fun fact: Ralph graduated, I think, when I was like 4 years old.
That's not even true, but continue.
Yeah, it is. Didn't you graduate in 96?
No, 2006.
You did?
2006.
Did you really?
Yeah, it took me 14 years to get.
Stop. See, I don't know.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm not bullying it.
She is. Like, she's like, I was 4. Like, who says that?
That was not a bully. That was like a general statement of like, this is how old you were and this is how old I was.
Oh, is that a general statement? That is general. You have some old person on, be like, well, you were in World War II. You lived through that, right?
Actually, I think the last surviving vet of World War II just died.
Chuck, I'm not in my 50s. Damn it. Chuck's starting to spread bad rumors.
No, Ralph is under the age of 50.
I'm under the age of 20. 30. Fine. 30. Anyway, continue. I didn't graduate in 96, by the way.
Did you start going in 96?
Bad rumor.
Or did you graduate high? No, you wouldn't have. No, okay, wait.
Anyway, continue. Stop trying to age shame people.
I wasn't age shaming. I was just proving I went to temple at 2 different times, which means we wouldn't know each other.
I'm getting my phone's blowing up now. People calling you a bully. My mom just texted me.
It's not true. It was not meant to be a bully statement. It was meant to be like we went at 2 different times. We didn't know each other, and now we're really good friends.
Right.
To
be fair,
Casey, please keep this banner forever so I can say it. And then
to be fair, I was negative 1,000. Okay.
Were you making fun of my voice there?
No.
So who's the bully now? Okay, so back on track about Unbound. I loved this story. Will we be getting a sequel?
I hope so.
Is there anything written in the sequel?
Dave, put it on the publishing. Is Dave watching? We don't know.
He usually watches because
you need to put it on the publishing. We gotta finish the Courier, third one this year, I think. I have to talk to Dave.
Oh, okay. So I promise that we will get to this after I wrap my Unbound. We'll definitely talk about All Guts, No Glory, which is coming out next week. But so the ending of Unbound, and I won't say it.
You're not happy about it, I feel like.
It was kind of rushed. Okay. It was kind of rushed.
That's fair.
Was there always plans
for a lot of
sequel?
Story to put in 5 issues? Yeah, the sequel.
It wasn't meant to be like it was kind of rushed. It was just like the conclusion happened, and then they were like, "Oh, but blah blah blah," and I was like, "Wait, what?" Like I had to literally reread the last 3 pages like 5 times to be like, "Did I miss something? Like, how did we get here?"
Yeah, it's a lot. It's dense. I know it's a dense series because I had to put a lot into 5 issues, and I wanted to get to the sequel story, like the setup in 5 issues. So it is a lot, and I know like some of the stuff is like, wait, what's going on? Who's meeting who? I tried to simplify as much as possible, but I don't know. That's what you do sometimes. You got to get to the meat. You got to get to the end. So you get the setup for the second season. Season
2.
Season 2 of Unbound.
You want to think that
I saw this as a trilogy as well.
But it's actually season 3 because we're going to get a prequel, and that's going to be season 1. So we're already on season
3. Oh my God. There's going to be no prequel. But I think there will be a sequel. It's set up for a sequel. We already cracked. Dave, Joe, and I actually cracked the story, the concept of the sequel years ago at the Luxor in Las Vegas. Yeah.
First of all, the Luxor is my favorite hotel in Las Vegas. Number 1. Number 2. So when I texted you and asked about what the ending was, that's right. Thank you, Casey, for watching. When I texted you about the ending, you literally were like, I don't know, read the sequel. And I was like, there is no sequel. And you already know it. You lied to me.
Well,
it all comes out on NCW.
We're worrying about I don't know.
I know we can't talk about this if you just text me the ending.
It's just a setup. It's not an ending. If it was an ending, it wouldn't have felt like it would have. Yes, then it would have felt really probably rushed because it'd be like, that's the whole story. But that was never the intent.
Is Unbound, okay, out of all the graphic novels that you have now, what is your favorite graphic novel that you've written?
My favorite that I've written?
Yeah.
I don't know.
As you're thinking about that,
I like Grim Tales of Terror. Although, yeah, I like reading. Huh? I do. I really do like Unbound. I don't want to. Too on the nose.
So
it was a fun series. It was a lot of fun for me to write Unbound.
Fun fact. So if you guys actually head to Second Life right now, we have a universe that is our Second Life Zenescope universe. And the character that is one of the skins is the character from Unbound.
Really? Oh, yeah. It's Lucas.
What do you mean?
I forgot for a second. I'm like, what? I thought I did an interview as his skin. I totally forgot.
And that's
my Alzheimer's is kicking in because I was graduated in 1976.
Oh,
the Courier. Chuck, I hope you're enjoying the Courier. Please comment. Go ahead, Amber. Sorry.
So, no, I really loved Unbound. I love your writing. You do a fantastic job. And speaking of fantastic jobs that you're doing, All Guts No Glory.
Yes, he is.
You want to tease this a little bit?
It comes out next week.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm very excited about it.
Noah,
I think Noah said he liked it, but he's like, really like the art. So I don't know.
That's right. He was like, the art was so good. And Ralph's like, cool.
We worked hard on this. Dave Wall and Dave Franchini helped, and Joe kicked in too. We cracked, and then Dave and me had a second meeting about it. And they really helped with this story, and it evolved with us just brainstorming from this little nugget of an idea I had at our story conference, and then it became this took on this life of its own. It's sort of like this. It sort of blends genres, which I like trying to do because it's fun when it comes together. So it's sort of a coming of age story about this kid who doesn't really know what he wants. He's a senior in high school, and everybody expects him to want to take the path that every kid, his parents tell them, go to college, get a good job. And that's not really what he wants, but and he's kind of enamored by this like team of monster hunters that take out these threats behind the scenes with the regular public doesn't even know about. And he's sort of enamored by them, and all his job is to clean up the mess that's left by them. And so he's sort of going through this sort of like, what do I do with my life? And then meanwhile, he gets entwined with this sort of situation that I won't get into. I'll let you guys read about it.
So All Guts No Glory drops next week. It's part of a 3-part series, 3 issues for a trilogy series, and then maybe sequels to go. It also lives in the same universe as Mangoat and the Bunny Man. And some fun facts about that are, if you haven't read Mangoat and the Bunny Man, it's issue number 1 sold out, but you can get the graphic novel on our web store right now. So you're going to want to read that. Even though it's not connected, maybe there's some Easter eggs or something.
Yeah, I mean, and there is, like, if you guys have read any of Monster Hunter Survival Guide stuff, there's reference to that. Actually, the Monster Hunter Survival Guide is used a lot in the series as well. So there's a lot of like cross references there. It's fun. It's a comedy / horror. I guess horror is. I don't know if it's horror, action, comedy, a little bit of horror.
Yes, it's a fantastic story, and you will very much enjoy this universe. And, quick side note is we do a lot of stories like this outside of our regular stories. Like, yeah, we talked about Van Helsing earlier, but a lot of other different types of stories that we do are these like more sci-fi type of storylines that are a little bit more out there that kind of live in their own universe. And you only have to read 3 issues of each of them. So it's a pretty quick read. You follow that story, you get a full story, you always get some sort of cliffhanger at the end, and then you're like, will I ever get an Unbound prequel? I don't really know. But that is the route that you're going to take.
1% chance.
1% chance. John shouted it out while you were talking. I'm sure you saw that he loves 2 of your run. He loved The Courier and he loved Inferno Resurrection, which was really cool. And just a quick shout out to John.
Inferno Resurrection was fun to write.
AKA Old Grumpy Bruce, who on Twitter always shouts us out, and I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Bruce.
And we see, we're not saying you're old, but you call yourself
Ghostbusters. He liked the Ghostbusters remake. I remember him tweeting about. I have to still not remake the sequel, the new one.
I also sent him an email one time, but I don't know if he ever got it because sometimes our emails bounce back, just thanking him for the really nice stuff, that he says.
Jeff, you need to buy the trade, yes.
If you wait until a convention,
Jeff. Scene cleaners, exactly. It's about monster crime scene cleaners. The guys who go in and clean up the guts of the monsters. Sorry.
If you guys end up attending our convention season, we will be selling these books at all of the cons.
Yes, we are.
So, but if you're not going to be at the convention, then make sure you buy it now or buy it online.
Or come to the VIP event.
Oh, I guess let's talk about that. So now that we're done
Well-
talking about them, yes.
Okay.
You said well, and then continue.
I forget what I was gonna say.
Okay, back to the VIP events.
I lost it.
Flash that up there one more time, Casey.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't have anything.
Okay, so it's April 23rd. If you guys don't have anything to do that weekend, come hang with us. If you do, come hang with us anyway. And speaking of the VIP event, there'll be 3 fantastic guests. It will be Sun Kumanaki's very first US appearance. Also, the entire the publishing team, aka Ralph, aka Joe, aka Dave, aka David. They will all be in attendance. They can sign a lot of your really, really great stuff. On top of that, one of the conditions, as you know, for NCW collectible, yes.
Sneak peek. got one of the covers in.
That was...
Got one of the covers in today by Keith Garvey.
So if you guys end up rewatching this, just pause it at
45 minutes and
cover.
58
It's
seconds. It's cropped.
Okay, we can see it now.
Okay.
So their
excited.
tickets are still on, but one of the stipulations for this week, every week we'll be giving away an NCW collectible showcase version, and stipulations for this week is that you just had to buy a VIP ticket. And I'm very, very excited to announce our winner today, which is Catherine. I'm so excited.
Catherine.
Yay, Catherine.
Woo.
I'm very excited. Catherine's fantastic. I was really excited to see her name pop up in the random number generator. So congratulations. We will be sending you one of the showcase versions of this cover. And we're looking forward to seeing you in Vegas for the weekend. It's going to be a great time. Something else to just tease about Vegas, and I don't know if we've officially announced this, but something that we're doing is every few Tuesdays that we do retailer live streams, we're doing retailer live streams live. So we're going to be in attendance of the retailer live stream. And our first one is actually happening February 1st. That is in Feasterville with Comic Collection. So you guys, if you want to hang out around there, you're going to be around there. Make sure that you come by.
Is in Pennsylvania.
Yes. This is in Pennsylvania, right down the street from us, not
In case-
Vegas. I'm getting to the
If
point of
anybody's
Vegas.
wondering.
I'm getting to the point. Sorry.
No,
you're
I'm
right.
saying nobody knows what Feasterville is. So
What do you mean? Feasterville?
I don't even know where it is, and I'm
A
from
top
there.
5 destination in Pennsylvania.
Feasterville. Who hasn't gone to Feasterville? Right.
So everybody goes for Feaster. Duh.
Wow.
So, if you guys are around, make sure that you come by. This will be February 1st. The broadcast will be taking place at 4, but Dave will be there starting signings as early as I believe either 1 or 2.
I think
2. Okay. 2, as early as 2. So come by, get your stuff signed. We'll be selling some stuff. The books that we sell on the stream, a couple of those will be there. So,
The Noah's comment.
what?
Feasterville, your eyes on that. What is he talking about? Oh my God. It's happening.
So my connection as to why I was talking about Vegas is actually one of the retailer live stream lives will be taking place most likely at a Vegas store before the VIP event. So
probably on Friday, the 22nd.
If you end up flying, I thought we said maybe Thursday.
23rd. No, I think it's going to have to be the 22nd.
Okay. So if you are flying in early, a handful of the team will fly in early. Not me. No. A handful of the
You'll be there.
I will be there. I probably won't be at the store though, because I'll be setting up. Or if you guys want to be really cool and help me set up, come by. It'll be a full fun day. We don't know
what store yet, do we? I think
no, we don't know a store yet.
We don't know what store
or
yet.
maybe we do. We just aren't ready to announce it yet.
Jason is working it out. So yeah, we'll do that. Probably that afternoon before the event starts, because the event will start at 6 p.m. that evening on Friday. Sort of the casual meet and greet before the event on Saturday.
Yeah, if you guys have a good suggestion of what comic shop we should do the retailer live stream live in Vegas.
Yeah, and like the hopefully the VIPs can fly in early enough where they're gonna come to the store, because that would be really cool.
Or come help me set up.
Help Amber set up. I don't think the in-store setup or setup at the
Yeah.
the actual van setup. Yeah, VIPs are we're putting you to work while you're there. Amber said she'll buy everyone a drink. Set up.
Okay, here's what you'll every person that helps me set up the setup will get a reward. I'm
Oh,
not gonna tell you what it is.
Butler. Okay, so it's near Huntington Valley. That's Feasterville. I never knew that.
Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Again, we will be not.
Sorry, it's a callback to Feasterville. I grew up not far from. I grew up like near Willow Grove, so whatever. Nobody cares. Sorry. Continue.
In case you guys didn't know, Ralph grew up in Willow Grove. Fun fact:
near Willow Grove.
I grew up outside of
Joe
Scranton.
grew up in Abington. I grew up in Upper Dublin.
I grew up in Steen, which is actually a village. The village of Steen, because it doesn't have that many people, which is outside of Waymart, which is outside of Honesdale, which is
really close to Dallas, Texas.
Which is outside of Scranton. But I
really interesting because you're a Dallas fan.
I tell everybody I'm originally though from South Florida because I lived in South Florida for 6 years. And fun fact, I will be in Miami very, very soon. See my friends. I'm very excited. I miss Miami. I miss South Florida. I lived right on the beach, man. Those were the days. And now it's cold. Now it's freezing. Anyway, yes, Kevin, he said you had me at reward, which means that people are about helping me set up at the setup. Okay, so the stipulations for how you get this NCW collectible for next time is going to be you will have to be a subscriber to Zenescope Black before next Wednesday, and you'll have to email Casey at her new special email. She's also going to drop it in the comments, casey.brennan@zenescope.com, and just tell us that you're in the Zenescope Black.
No more intern email. It's a sad day for us.
It is a sad day.
For morning, Casey. Casey, does it hurt that some other intern will come in and have your intern email?
She's nodding in the backstage. We'll bring her on. We'll bring her on just for the nod.
What are you doing? She's not ready
for the nod.
She's not even on mute. She's muted.
I know that was her time.
Amber did that, Casey.
It was me. That was Casey's cameo. Everybody was really waiting 52 minutes and 31 seconds for Casey's cameo. So
nobody wants to be brought on when they're not prepared, Amber.
I do that all the time to
I'm mad at you now.
So what did Catherine win, Chuck? That's a great question. She won our collectible cover, our Elias Chad Zudis collectible cover, which there you go. So this was actually sold out in the web store. However, that's because there were a couple of wrong inventory numbers. So it's back on the web store, not the showcase version, the regular version, $30. I know a couple of people. What? Only a few, because we were a little wrong on inventory numbers. What?
Thought we had to destroy them.
We do, but we have to destroy them when we hit the sold out. It turns out that the inventory numbers were a little wrong. So now there are a few covers left of this January cover. So I know people were like, oh no, I missed it. No, go to the web store now because it will sell out. There's only a handful of covers that there was a miscount in the back. So not of $199, but when we put it in the back end, it said sold out earlier than the inventory numbers. All technicality. So if you haven't gotten it yet and you want it, it hasn't officially sold out. So tell your friends. Okay, so again, the stipulations for next time is to email Casey and tell her that you're a member of Zenescope Black. And even if you aren't a member of Zenescope Black, we are going to be able to check that in the back end. So don't lie to us. And if you're not a member of Zenescope Black, you need, it's very, very true. Antonio. If you're not a member of Zenescope Black, you need to become a member. Okay, it's $199 right now in our web store. You have to be a VIP. If you're not a VIP, it's only $99, and then you can come to. Let me just quickly.
VIP is $99 for life too.
For life, and that means that you get to hang out with us at the West Coast event. Also means that you get to hang out with me at the setup for the setup.
No, but if you're not a VIP and you buy a VIP event ticket, you can get $20 off your VIP membership too. So just FYI.
That's true. Very, very true. Next
And
week's
you'll
release.
get 3 amazing covers.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you up. Next week's releases are I almost
show.
said Unbound. Oh my god. All Guts No Glory. So Ralph will be back on whether he likes it or not. And Grim Fairy Tales number 56. He'll probably be my only guest because I just had Dave on a lot too, and I don't want to kill everybody. I don't want everyone at this company to.
I'm becoming a regular. I'm taking over.
Should you become our new host?
NCW with Ralph.
Yeah.
Has a ring to it.
How do you guys feel? Would you rather Ralph be the host? Or rather me be the host?
Do you guys?
Or should we be co-hosts?
Do you want to? It almost looks like we're in the same room. No, the background, our backgrounds
is very similar.
The wall is very similar.
Oh, Noah. That's right. If there we go.
Tank's outside. He's taking a walk. Do we want to announce Casey and Noah's new show?
Oh yeah. Well, why not?
You have 4 minutes.
At 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. On Monday, there we go. On Mondays at did we decide 1 o'clock or we weren't on the time yet?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock on Mondays, starting in February, not maybe the first week, but the second week of February, we will be having, which would be the first February. Okay, sorry. We will be having a Casey and Noah show that will be taking place. It's going to happen every Monday. And the reason as to why is it's going to just go over what's new that week. So it's going to talk about the releases that we're going to talk about. We could maybe call them
called Coffee with Casey and Noah.
Yeah.
They're going to be drinking coffee on a Monday at 1 o'clock because real coffee drinkers know you have to drink the coffee throughout the Monday.
That's why I don't drink coffee.
Your loss.
I'm high on life. So,
high on life.
Catherine wants the co-hosting for both of us. That's why I love Catherine. She's great.
She wants to co-host with us?
Like our NCW.
We should do that's what we could do. We should do a viewer co-host segment.
A viewer co-host.
Yeah, like we have a co-host come on with us, like here and there.
I thought about like it would be fun if we had NCW where we had one of the audience members come on and get to ask questions about that story.
It's like a guest host.
A guest host, yeah.
Yeah. They can talk about the books.
Speaking of the books, speaking of awards, the Zenny Awards will be happening in March, but you have to vote now for your favorites. Votes are going in. You'll get 10% off your next Zenescope order.
You have a QR code. You can scan it.
Yes.
Scan it.
Scan that now. Just put your phone up on the screen.
Unless you're watching from your phone.
Take a picture. There's me.
If you're watching from your phone, then. Yeah, vote for the Zennies. Vote
for the Vennies.
Vote Curry. What? What's that quiet?
Nothing. I agree.
Interesting.
We have a lot of subscriptions going on. I won't run through all of them because I do this every single week. But the most important thing you need to know is that the graphic novel subscription did launch at 2 p.m. today. What you'll do is every time we get a graphic novel, all of the prices will end up bounding itself out. But you'll get every graphic novel that we launched this year. So you'll get complete stories. So if you've never read Zenescope before and you want a complete story, this is an awesome, incredible way to get familiar with us. It also has an array of our most popular stories put together. So the best of Zenescope. So you're going to get a Robin Hood one. There's going to be a Van Helsing one. There's Unbound, obviously. We have a lot of there'll probably be another Grim Fairy Tales. There is another Grim Fairy Tales coming out very soon. So this is a great opportunity to read a lot of new stuff with us. Not new stuff, but if you're a new reader, a way to familiarize yourself with the most popular stuff at Zenescope. On top of that, we have Movie Club, which will be taking place literally next week. That will be next Thursday. Resident Evil. All of your Movie Club people will be in attendance, plus Noah. I don't know if Casey joins in on Movie Club. Casey.
Well, Noah's going to host Movie Club. And Casey's going to produce behind the scenes.
On top of that, we also have our Zenescope passport. So if you haven't gotten the passport yet, it's incredible. This is an awesome way to track and feel like you are at an event for all of the VCons. Every VCon will come with its very own sticker. As long as you buy something at that VCon, you will get a sticker with it that you can put in your Zenescope passport that can be personalized. On top of that, you also can get one for conventions that you can stamp at every convention that we are at. And John, it's for Resident Evil #1. Which is the best Resident Evil. What up?
I have not seen it yet, so I gotta watch it. I don't know. Never saw it.
Just like you've never seen Serendipity. Everybody loves Serendipity.
Never saw Serendipity.
What a lot. Casey's never seen Serendipity either, people.
5 people have seen Serendipity.
That's not true. When we go to New York Comic-Con, we're all going to the Serendipity 3 shop. And then that's what the movie's based on. They go to Serendipity. We'll all go. We'll get there. It's all desserts. We'll get like a jet. Like there's like a sundae. I think that's like $40.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice spot.
A lot of sugar there.
So yeah. So then our next in-person VCon. Why did I say that? Our next VCon will be taking place February 10th. Yes, February 10th and 11th.
Yeah, scheduled to come soon, hopefully.
Scheduled.
We have a guest artist coming on with us on the 10th.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for who the guest is. Okay, this was a really awesome NCW. We're so glad that you got to join us. You get to join us again, your co-hosts. I was trying to point. No, Yep. No. Aha. No.
My God, help me.
I got contacts today. I feel like my eyes look bigger. Do they look bigger?
Huge. I was
because I feel like I can see everything so well. Like, this is what Ralph really looks like. This is what the comic covers really look like. Get. This is what this all looks like. Everything has been enhanced beautifully, and I'm very excited. So, that's it for today's NCW. This is Amber and Ralph signing off. We're at Zenescope, where you come for the covers, but you stay for the stories. We'll see you guys all next Wednesday at